Anthony with the pump fake and one dribble inside to the long two, and he makes it. That's been his game his whole career. But look at him smiling. We go, my bad. The long two.
Welcome to another episode of The Long Two. I am Pete Rogers. He is Natty Wallach, and we are a Carmelo Stanthony podcast, but, occasionally talk fantasy basketball. Natty, how you doing today?
I'm surviving, bro. Howdy. What's up? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I am exhausted, both just in general life. There's a lot of real shit going on in the world, obviously, but also with the lead up to the NBA's bubble season. It's hard to watch multiple players test positive for COVID outside of the bubble. There were 2 in the bubble, and the league not doing anything about it. And part of me not wanting them to do anything about it, because I would love 24/7 basketball for the rest of the summer, but also knowing that that is terrible. So I'm just at this point, I am just kind of wanting to tune out and check out and be like, let's just, if it's going to happen, let's, wait for it to happen. Let's cut the speculating and maybe let's turn our attention to other things in the meantime to fill the time.
Yeah, in retrospect, I think the NBA should have given it a different name, because what do bubbles do? They pop. And it already seems like this is not working extremely well. People are going out to get food, and, the whole thing seems on its face. If it wasn't the NBA, if this wasn't sports, if we were just talking about, hey, there's this business that's going to try to open, where? Disney in Florida.
World. Yeah.
Yeah. You'd be like, the 5th worst spot on the planet right now? Yeah. Is that okay? Well, there's no income tax, right? I mean, there's no reason this would go forward if it wasn't sports, I think.
Yeah.
And it's not just the NBA. In MLB, the Nats might not be able to play in their stadium because of COVID restrictions, but they could go to Florida for spring train. All of it seems sort of backwards. None of this makes sense. No one should be going to Florida. You know what I mean? No one anywhere should be going to Florida.
And
everyone should be staying put.
Right, and that's true even pre-COVID.
Yeah. Dude,
the
president couldn't travel
Florida.
somewhere without without spreading stuff around. It's everyone.
You just shouldn't go to Florida. That being said, I'm glad we are starting to get some bubble drama, which is exactly what I'm here for, with Chris Paul snitching on the entire league.
Instead of the tea, give us the bubs. It's happening.
Since Shams, this is earlier in the week, saying that there were multiple tips have been placed in the NBA's anonymous hotline, which I know is just CP3 calling every time. We're trying on a different voice to pretend that he's 15 different people calling in all of these leads.
Oh, I think it's the players that aren't there yet, and they're just trying to get rid of the people that maybe they don't want to hang out with for 2.5 months. LeBron's calling anonymously. He's being like, this guy's a real jerk, and he's not wearing underwear, and he shakes everybody's hand.
Oh, man.
But it's it's funny to think about CP3 snitching on people, because A, that's just hysterical, and B, he's the head of the players union. He's everyone's boss, sort of, or he's an authority figure in the players. And I'm a Pistons fan, so I do appreciate it when people go a little bit dirty. And if it is him just calling up on everybody, I kind of love that, because I think Oklahoma City has a legit shot. I really do.
You sent this to me. You sent this to me in our Slack channel before we jumped onto the show, that OKC is is number 1 in plus minus.
Okay, so they're number 1 in plus minus in fourth quarters. They are the best clutch team in the NBA. The 4 players with the best plus minus in clutch situations, all 4 of them are on the Thunder. Since December, so they had a slow start, but since December 1st, they have the 3rd best record in the NBA behind the Bucks and the Lakers. This is not Totally unsurprising, because I think a bunch of people thought, oh, what an interesting team, the Thunder, before the season started. And, oh, okay, it doesn't look like they're trading CP3, so let's just see how this goes. Like, hopefully they'll make the playoffs. And they're one of the 5 best teams in the league.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's that constant struggle of like not wanting all these people to be putting their lives at risk and being like, this is a pandemic. We should all be sheltering in place and like wearing masks and social distancing. And we should just like hunker down and let this thing all pass. But another part of me is like the smaller part of me, the evil voice in the back of my head is like, God, there's so many good NBA narratives that are like could play out, and damn it, I want to see them all happen.
Right. You want the story. It's not like, I don't think we need to reduce it to a distraction. Like, this is a part of the world. It's a big business and employs a bunch of people, and a lot of people love it. So we shouldn't just dismiss sports as nothing. But obviously it's not worth somebody's fucking life. Right. And it's not worth like lung scarring. It's not worth, like someone not being able to breathe properly for the rest of their lives. It's not worth being incapacitated. It's also maybe not worth losing a championship or a title run because of a positive test when you didn't get sick. Like there's just going to be an asterisk everywhere, like, I mean, what are the Nets right now? And what if Zion can't play? And hopefully everything's okay with his family. But let's say that he's, quarantined for the, first little bit, and then the Pelicans just never, or maybe he gets sick. Like the NBA structured the quarantine, the bubble, this way, so that Zion would be able to play. So if all of a sudden you don't, and the Pelicans are still a pretty good team without him, I think. I mean, they're one of the most interesting teams there. But all of this, I think that's part of it, is it's going to be interesting because it'll be so chaotic and no one really knows what to expect. And the play is going to be real weird. Everyone's going to be rusty. Mm-hmm. Are people going to avoid contact? Like, is this going to be, will there be less fouls? Is this going to be kind of a tippy toe?
How is Harden going to score?
Yeah, no, that's going to be a legit question though. Like, everyone's going to look weird. And it's going to be. It is so easy to fall in love with the idea of this, like, ooh, basketball, and ooh, it's going to look different. And the same with like baseball, like, oh, only 60 games? Well, that's fucking crazy. It's sort of like just one big postseason, because we want to see how it goes. Obviously, you're interested in something that you love anyway. And the fact of the matter is that it probably isn't worth it, and we probably shouldn't be doing this at all. Right. And it just doesn't really seem like it's working.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to spend all of the podcast talking about this stuff because, like I said at the top of the show, I'm exhausted. Let's talk about something instead. Let's look back and celebrate the season that we did see, the 2019-2020 season. And I want to take a page out of one of my idols, Shea Serrano's, and talk the best, greatest, most disrespectful, most beautiful dunks of the year. And so we have each come up with our top 5 dunks of the year using whatever rubric metrics we want. But it's the important
dunking part is as dunking does.
You have to defend those with your dying breath. You can't waver on what you use.
Not to be a downer, but this is to the death.
This is one of us will not leave this podcast. And I also want to start off by saying, let's make sure we give an honorable mention to Ja Morant, who almost ended Kevin Love's life. And certainly that would have been the best dunk of the year if he had completed that.
Dude, he had some real good. I mean, one of his is on my list. It's not that one, but it's
no spoiler alerts. But yes, Ja Morant is most certainly on this. So we'll start at 5 and we'll work our way to the top so that you, the listener, have to stick around to hear what we think is the best dunk of the year. I know this is why I get paid the big bucks, Natty. You want to start or do you want me to start?
Go. Well, actually, my first one, because he's not on your list at all, apparently, I'm just going to say that every Zion dunk is one of the best dunks of the year, except for the first couple where it sort of looked like like a baby giraffe trying to learn how to walk. Like sometimes only his fingertips touch the ball, and but after he got into a little bit of a rhythm, like every single fucking time he put the ball in the bucket, it was amazing.
Yeah. So part of my litmus test was I like to take the situation of a dunk into consideration, obviously,
Sure.
and where its point was in the game. I also just felt for the most part, Zion's dunks were like incredible standalone. None of them there weren't many, at least what I found when I was doing my preliminary research. Not a lot of posters, not a lot of like him just like completely eviscerating the defender.
Totally. A lot of them are putbacks. Like someone took a shot and he
Right.
just comes in out of nowhere, and it's sort of weird that people can disregard someone like that. Like, how could you not know where he is?
Absolutely enormous. Like, it's one thing, if Russell Westbrook sneaks in there and gets the putback dunk, but
yeah, or Ja Morant.
Right, or Ja Morant. But when you lose 300-pound Zion Williamson,
I mean, I feel like he must have like a gravitational pull. Like, he's not 7 feet tall. He's 6'8", 6'9", something like that. But he's enormous.
Yeah.
And it's also like he's the new big rook. I sort of feel like all the vets are going to make sure that they like don't get embarrassed by him. But there he is. He's cleaning up other people's garbage. He's had some pretty nice alley-oops with Lonzo. He did have an impressive rookie season for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And if he had started at the beginning, then I mean,
he would have caught a body.
It's like, I mean, it's Jaws, I think, isn't it? Rookie of the year? Yeah, it should be. But god damn, Zion is. It was as advertised. I think
he is going to get someone, and he will probably get someone next season, and probably multiple people. And then when we do this list for the 2020-2021 season, his name will probably show up, at least on my list. But so was he your 5, or were you just wanting to give him an honorable mention?
No, so I'm going to combine that with all of Miles Bridges' dunks because those are also fucking amazing.
I like how you've internalized the 5 best dunks of the year to be everything Zion has produced and Miles Bridges has produced.
Here's one of the problem with highlight reels, and this has been a problem since I was born, is that there are so many instances of a team doing something good against the Pistons or against the Lions or against the Tigers. And there's just so many dunks on the Pistons. And like, obviously, the Pistons aren't a good team, but it always fucking happens. And so watching all these reels is a little bit tough, and I don't want to be like, oh, well, that's the 3rd best versus the Pistons dunk out of nowhere. Awesome. But actually, one of the dunks on my list is versus Detroit. But whatever. Like, Miles Bridges is great. You're a hater. I love that team. PJ Washington is going to be a good dunker,
I'm a hater. We have been on the Hornets from the get-go. This podcast is pro Hornets. Get out of here with that I'm being a hater.
Is there a hater on your top 5 dunk list?
No, I don't have it. No. Though I will say Malik Monk had some pretty filthy dunks. I was watching some of the highlights. That man gets up. There were some alley-oops that he was like putting back while looking into the rim.
I really wanted him to do well. I've always been attached to that guy. I just thought that he was going to be such a good player, and he was sort of done dirty by the team when he was drafted. And if I recall correctly, I don't think he's playing right now.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, so hopefully he comes back and is ready to go for whenever we have the next season after this one. But yeah, I love that team. It's great. Anyway, so that's my number 5. It's 2 dudes and then a couple of observations about
good
Detroit
single
sports.
Dunk there, Natty. Well done.
Absolutely. You feel free. You can only have one at a time, though. I'll have waves. You'll be the particle. I'll be the waves.
Perfect. That sounds right. All right. So my 5th dunk of the year, I'm giving it to Aaron Gordon, who pulling off the self alley-oop against the Lakers with like JaVale McGee just like hugging him from behind. Things that went into this. Obviously, you have to include if we're looking at best dunks, and I don't have the dentist on here, but there are certain people who you have to include. And Aaron Gordon is one of them. Anytime on a breakaway, he's going to do something beautiful with it. But breakaway dunks, I excluded. They were not part of my metric because I was like, I want in-game physical contact, smack the bodies. Like I want something when I watch it. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like if I could dunk, I would have a hard time pulling that off. So, so Aaron Gordon's self alley-oop was, getting caught at the top of the key, throws it off the backboard to himself. JaVale McGee's just basically draped on him like a cape. And not only did Aaron Gordon pull that off and dunk it successfully while getting fouled, the Magic then went on to win that game 119-118. So I'm giving Aaron Gordon number 5 spot for that.
He had a really sick windmill dunk right in the middle of a game earlier this season too. That's the sort of thing that makes me an Aaron Gordon believer, because you see something ultra athletic like that and you're like, oh shit. You have to lean back away from the television or from the court. And for some reason, the Magic, I do sort of feel like kind of play some teams well. Like they just sort of match up poorly against them or well against the other teams. I mean, we've seen this before. It just sort of seems like Aaron Gordon needs to get out of there in order to blossom. I mean, it just the roster doesn't seem that it's conducive to helping him be a good player.
Right.
Especially now that Fultz is there. And if Fultz can't shoot from outside either. Oh, and Fultz had a couple of really fucking sick dunks.
Have a couple of really nice dunks.
Dude, watching Magic dunks was pretty cool. That was not bad at all.
If Fultz had dunked on the Sixers at some point, if Fultz had dunked on Ben Simmons, he would have been number 1 on the list.
It's so nice to see that he's back and is a legit NBA player.
Yeah,
totally. That was one of the best things about this season.
Well, it's another example of just there are some players who get taken early who just aren't good at basketball, and no matter where they bounce between teams, it's just not going to work for them. Anthony Bennett is that guy is a definition, hands down, beginning to end bust, right? Fultz is an example of if you are in a situation and it's just not clicking for you, it's not working for you, a change of scenery can do so much, and a rejuvenation of trust in you. And it's kind of when we've talked about this, and I'm sure, and we're not the only ones that think this, but it's kind of why everyone got excited about Wiggins heading to Golden State, where it's if Golden State can teach Wiggins to consistently shoot, that's scary with Steph and Clay, and that kind of, and that culture that is well defined.
Yeah, and Maple Jordan is still young.
And Jordan is real young.
And all these guys, when we talk about they're the super athletic guys that you can just sort of see jumping through dudes. Every time Aaron Gordon has a thunderous dunk, you're like, God damn, how is he not a fucking better player? And it sort of seems like not having an outside shot is the one common theme with all those dudes. If you just can't hit 30% of your threes, then you have to be able to be really, really good at all the other stuff.
Right. And the question is, I was going to ask this, and we'll move on to our number 4 after this, but would it surprise you if Aaron Gordon was on a kind of or had a Blake Griffin career, where in the later half of his career, he does learn how to shoot and becomes, have a little bit better of a jump shot after being this kind of initially his game was just built upon his athleticism?
I do think that you can improve as a shooter. That seems to be a skill that multiple players have shown that you can get better at. Jason Kidd, famously. A lot
Kawhi
of
Leonard.
And shit. Absolutely correct. Yeah, he and all of the bigs that are shooting now. Brooke Lopez coming out of nowhere.
Brooke Lopez becoming an elite shooter from downtown. Yeah,
totally. So I feel like that is a skill that can develop, that you can work on, that you can get better at over time. But there are some things that that just don't seem to, block rate. If you're a good blocker in college, you're going to be a good blocker. Some things do translate over. I think it's hard for people to get much better at rebounds, but they can figure out where people are. The positioning becomes more important than the actual trajectory of the ball. It's okay, well, if I'm one of these spots, then I have a better chance.
Mm-hmm.
And then like there's just some dudes that just like can't shoot from mid range. Like one of the things that OKC is so good at this year is the mid range shot, and it's because like I
The
mean, first
long
of all, they
two,
have
is
CP3.
that what you're talking about?
Bam, dude. There you go. Like that's where the open space is, right? Because like everybody's either in the paint or they're defending the three. So also the three guards in Oklahoma City are small. So,
Right.
but they just have found like a little bit of an open crease. The Spurs sort of do that too, but I mean, this is such a weird time in basketball right now that I don't know. I like a part of me sort of thinks there's going to be a lot of movement over the next couple of years because this is all going to be so strange. And if Aaron Gordon ended up on a team like I don't know, like how about San Antonio? Like
We
what
talked about
if
that. Yeah.
yeah, like there's you can see some teams that you think would be able to unlock these players, but that doesn't always make it so. Like sometimes the players just have to change on their own. But
Correct.
Aaron Gordon is still 25, right?
I trust you. Sure. Sounds good.
I think he's a baby. Like that's
Yeah. He's young.
there are a bunch of players who have been in the league forever, like Andre Drummond, who are still super young.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
you know, there's a hell of a lot of time for people to improve their shots. In the meantime, these sick ass dunks are where you want to get it.
Hell yeah. All right, we're gonna snake this. So since you started with your 700 different dunks that you didn't even choose from, I'm gonna give you my number 4 dunk of the year. Number 4 dunk of the year. Picking the Dame Meister, Damian Lillard, going up against the Denver Nuggets, where he drops Plumlee, who's staggering out to meet him at the 3-point line with a spin move, and then slams it home over a helpless Jamal Murray. It's just such a smooth sequence from I forget who meets him in half court, but he passes that guy, drops Plumlee with the spin move. Plumlee looks just like a headless chicken. There's your baby giraffe learning how to walk. He's kind of like wobbling out there trying to slow Dame down, and Dame just drops him effortlessly. And then the paint's wide open, and Jamal Murray takes. I mean, it's not really a poster as much as just kind of like it's a very smooth move into a dunk by Dame, and it just looks good. And it's also he dropped like 36 or so, I think, that game, while the bench and CJ McCollum dropped like 31, and so it's just like Dame being Dame and taking over.
Maestro Dame Lillard, man, he just knows how to conduct. It is unreal. And like even at the end of the games, it doesn't seem like he's sweating really. Like it's just like he's still calm and cool, and he doesn't care, and he'll fucking sink it right in your face.
That's the Dame. perfect way to describe this sequence. Is it's beautifully conducted. He is just everything looks so effortless what he's doing, and yet he is just like moving like a knife through butter through the Denver defense and then just slamming it home. So that's my number 4 dunk of the year.
He's great. I mean, obviously, we love Melo. We love CJ. We love Dame. That team has been a little bit snake bit, maybe a lot snake bit. Hopefully, Dame and CJ can, get some advance.
Did you see the footage of Melo playing defense in the bubble?
I did. I like the haircut. I like the effort. I like him being in basketball.
Yo, Melo's about to break some hearts if we're gonna have an actual season this year or the rest of the season.
Dude, what if it's Melo calling on everybody? Because he's like, this is my fucking best chance. This is my one best chance. I'm getting all these assets.
He knows he's going to be the least expected. He's going to be the last person that everyone's going to go to CP3. Everyone's going to go to LeBron. Everyone's going to go to Harden and these players who snitch already. So it's going to be Melo's just sitting in the background like, yes, this is how I'm going to win finally a championship.
4-dimensional chess, dude. It's not even about the basketball. The bubble is about survival and victory. Who is going to Gordian knot this motherfucker and just cut through?
Yes,
God
I
damn.
am here for it. All
right,
what's
my
your
fourth is Ja over Aaron Baines in Phoenix, which was absolutely fucking crazy because Ja comes in from the left and sort of gets in between two people and then staggers by Baines. He just gets right the fuck around him and then changes hands to put it up. He's amazing. I'm so glad we have Ja Morant in the NBA. I was a little skeptical. I thought he was a little hyped up. And I was gunning for my guy, RJ Barrett, for Rookie of the Year, who also had some very nice dunks this year. But Ja is incredible. He slithers. Like, that's what he does. He slithers. He gets into holes like Barry Sanders used to. It's fucking nuts that he can get in amongst these big dudes. Like, where the fuck did he come from?
I can't believe you have that as your 4th dunk of the year. That is disrespectful to Ja Morant. Not only Ja Morant roasting Aaron Baines while going across the
Aaron
net.
Baines.
No. Ja Morant switches hands while in the air, while Baines is bodying the shit out of him, dunks it like behind him while still posterizing him. And this is all like minute left in the game. Baines just scores to put the Suns within striking distance, 109-105. And Morant just like calmly walks the ball up the court, and shit's about to go down. And then he just ISOs Baines, crosses him over, posters the living shit out of him, and then just runs away, knowing that he has left a body there on the floor. No, this is I will jump ahead. This is my number 2 dunk of the year. I can't believe this is your number 4. How?
Dude, and Baines is not some punk ass. Like,
no!
It is like Ja is 5 minutes old and 5 inches tall, and he fucking did that. Like, that's, I mean, Baines isn't Defensive Player of the Year, but that was nuts.
The Ja Morant highlight reel that he is going to have over the next couple of years is going to be unreal. Like, I don't think we as a collective basketball people are prepared for what he's going to do. Like, if he had completed his Kevin Love dunk, if he almost got Anthony Davis on a dunk, like, good Lord, this man is going to get bodies, and he's going to get big, notable bodies.
Yeah, I completely agree. I can almost see, like, in 3 years, him being like a bigger player than Anthony Davis, even though Anthony Davis is like way more talented and much better right now. But just because AD sort of plays a little quiet, like, he's not Mr. Razzle Dazzle, pump him up. Like, you could see the brow playing for the Spurs, like, there's a little bit of Tim Duncan in him.
Yeah.
But Ja's just fireworks and glamour and red carpets and ninjas in the night. Like, I can't believe the fucking holes he gets through sometimes. That team rocks. God damn.
It's going to be so. We are, and this is why, like, let's not threaten anyone. Come on, let's just maybe sit out for the rest of the year, and let's wait for a 2021 season. But, like, we are so blessed to have Ja Morant and Zion Williamson entering the league at the same time. They're both young as hell, and they're just balling out, and we get to watch them for the next, hopefully, like, 15 years.
Yeah. If not, like, 18 to 20. I mean, who the hell knows
who knows? Right. Who knows? All right, we're going to hit our final 3, but before we do, we're going to take a quick ad break. All right, we are back, and since we're snaking this sucker, Natty, give us your 3rd best dunk of 2019-2020 season.
All right. This dunk occurred in Denver. We've already mentioned Denver today, but it's pro Nuggets. This is my boyfriend, Gary Harris, just all over Matthew Dellavedova. Just all over him. I hadn't seen something like that in quite a while. It reminded me why I love my fantasy boyfriend, Gary Harris, so much. He looks sometimes like he could just be one of the best 15 players in the league. And I like that dunk for sentimental value, but it also sort of seemed like an old school one. Like, you could have seen it in the 80s maybe. And like, there were also like way too many other Nuggets highlights that I got distracted by. So I just went with that. Go Gary Harris, you are golden, and fuck Matthew Dellavedova, who is bigger than you.
Yeah, they cut to the baseline cam for that when they show the replay, and it is just demoralizing watching. Like, you can see the thought process go through Matthew Dellavedova's head. Like, as Gary Harris gets, because it's like a 3-on-1, and they pass the ball back to Gary Harris, who's already got momentum, and Dellavedova is standing there, and you can see it in the way that he jumps, the way that he does, like, attacks everything. He's just like, you can tell it's all out of just like, I feel like I should be doing this. Like, I'm the last person here. I should be jumping to defend this, but God, I really don't want to. And then Gary Harris doesn't give a fuck and just absolutely eviscerates him.
All of a sudden, like, it didn't seem like Gary Harris. He seems like regular Gary Harris. Like, he passes the ball, it gets passed back to him, and then all of a sudden, he turns into a fucking freight train. Like, his momentum just goes up to 15 out of 10. He becomes an unstoppable force of nature. And then poor Matthew Dellavedova is there like, dude, I'm not going to win anything this year. Like,
bro,
I'm not this
bro,
game. I don't care about this game. I'm getting paid, but Jesus.
I am not trying right now. And it'd be really nice if you could reciprocate that by also not trying. And
yeah, like, I'm not going to take a bullet for this goddamn team. Are you kidding? Yeah. Where's LeBron? Get out of here.
Oh, yeah. All right. My number three. Yeah. My number 3 dunk. And it pained me. It took me a long time to eventually put this on the list, but I had to be Dr. Pete, an unbiased observer here. And the number 3 dunk for me this year was Kawhi Leonard over Daniel Tice when the Celtics and the Clips played in LA. Gets by Smart, posters Tice, and then like hangs on the rim so casually. And of course does his little Kawhi thing, let's go, and just kind of like jogs back.
And the lack of emotion is the worst part of it.
Oh my God, so demoralizing. Like he gets all of Tice. Tice is not half-assing it. Tice is like ball, because this is the Clippers at the time are down 6 with 3 minutes left in the 4th. So like this is a fucking game. I watched this game. This game was amazing. Like most games that I watch whenever Patrick Beverley is involved, it made me want to like punch Patrick Beverley in the face.
I love
a fight I would certainly lose. I won't pretend that I would win that fight. But so like Tice is going for that ball and Kawhi just full extension. You can see, the claw in full effect. That ball is just looks like a Nerf ball in his hand. Gets it down over Tice. The hang, Tice is flipping all over the place and he just lets go and jogs back. God, it was demoralizing when it happened. You can attribute the win more or less to it. That's definitely a top 3 dunk for me this year.
And I remember that game too, because it's like that was a game that Kawhi won, but Kawhi winning is such a weird thing to watch because
such a weird phenomenon.
He doesn't get pumped up. He's just, like playing against a team of 10-year-olds. He's not going to pat himself on the back. He's not going to, really get emotional about it. This is just what he does to make money. It's no big deal, fans. Like, I don't even like basketball, maybe.
LeBron
everybody else around him is like, that's amazing! We love
loses
you!
their mind. Yeah, LeBron tries. Sometimes we'll try the like cool guy. Oh man, this is nothing. I'm just like staying chill. And you're like, okay, LeBron, we know that you actually like are insider screaming and roaring. The Kawhi it's just, he makes it look effortless. He makes it look like he's not even doing anything. And it just heightens the disrespect. Like if I ever got dunked on by a guy and he just doesn't make a big deal about it and just like kind of like runs away and like his team is going crazy, but he's just straight faced, doesn't say anything. I don't know if I could get out of bed the next day.
Like, it's almost like he's not even thinking about you. Like, he's thinking about something else. Like, he plays basketball to make money to build a new Large Hadron Collider. This is going to go towards Kawhi's lab after he retires. And he's just thinking about, like, pipettes and chemicals. Like, it is... and that's a dude that's maybe the best player in the NBA right now. And it's just... It's so cool. I love the NBA because what other sport can you be like, oh, yeah, this is the best player? Maybe he doesn't really like playing. We're not really sure. Like
Mike Trout, I feel like is kind of that way for baseball. I feel like Mike Trout and Kawhi Leonard have similar, just kind of like, we're here to just dominate, and then we're gonna go but we're not gonna make a big deal about it.
See, that's funny because I feel like Mike Trout is screaming inside internally, being on the Angels. He's like, the Japanese who put out the roller coaster, like, please scream inside your heart.
Please scream in your heart.
Because Mike Trout, like, what's the best help they've ever gotten him? Pujols? Like, what the hell, man? If he were on an actual team, and I guess maybe he was going to be a little bit this year, but then the plague hit. But yeah, Mike Trout plays it cool, but there's I feel like he doesn't disdain emotion. Like when the
Right.
Angels win, like he'll
Right.
clap and smile.
Right. Cool.
He'll acknowledge the
Kawhi
victory.
just nods. That's
Right.
why it was
Kawhi
so
just
weird.
nods and it's like 0-1, 0-1, 0-1.
Right. When Kawhi hit the shot against the Sixers, it was so weird watching him celebrate. It was unnerving. And then within seconds, the computer drive booted up again and was like, "Oh, be calm." And then you see him just calm face.
But it's awesome to remind yourself that any different type of person can win. Juxtaposing Kawhi's glory versus Jordan's glory, how different those guys are. But they both, obviously Kawhi likes basketball, and is trying to be the best player. And it is incredible to watch just how differently people can go about their craft. And the Clippers, now that the Lakers are a little bit thin due to, a myriad of different things, I kind of feel like the Clippers have the upper hand in LA. And if Paul George is all the way healthy, if his shoulders are a go, if everybody else is there, including my boyfriend, Patrick Beverley, then that's going to be maybe the toughest team in the Western Conference.
Yeah. All right. Well, since we already know what my 2 is, and I'm flabbergasted that you are having multiple dunks over this dunk, what's your number 2 dunk?
My number 2 dunk is De'Aaron Fox over Christian Wood in Detroit. It was
God.
His arms grew mid dunk. You could see them just sort of extend like Mr. Fantastic. The announcers had to pause. One of them said a prayer underneath his breath after it happened. It's dear God. It was I was watching that game. The Kings can be a really fun team. And they could be a really good one if they didn't have all the wrong players in their front court, sort of. De'Aaron Fox is just a fucking marvel. He is so fast. He's so good. And when a dude can dunk like that, and Christian Wood was good this year. He came out of nowhere, but he was totally physical and was trying his best to get a new contract. So he was a guy that would take risks and maybe didn't mind posters. And De'Aaron Fox just fucking went warp speed and just jumped over him almost.
Ja Morant, he lives in Brooklyn. That's where Natty lives. So if you can go, that's where you can go find him and tell him how absolutely wrong he was for putting that DeAndre Fox dunk over your dunk on Aaron Baines. The
John
Gary
Morant
Harris
versus
one,
De'Aaron Fox, that's going to be a story we're going to be having over the next 10 years, probably.
This is a story that you are going to be regretting over the next 10 years. I can't believe that this is your number 2 dunk.
John Morant was De'Aaron Fox from 2 years ago. When Fox came in, he was Grease Lightning. Yeah. He was amazing. Everybody was all about him.
Okay. Well,
but now he's yesterday's news for you. You don't even have a Zion dunk.
If you swap,
I had every
swap
Zion
those
dunk.
2 dunks, if you put Ja Morant at 2 and DeAndre at 4, I would have no problems with it. I'd be like, Natty, that's really big of you. It would have been back-to-back picks of me taking one for the team, you taking one for the team, watching both of our teams getting posterized. I'd have been like, that's so big of you, Natty. What a good ranking. What a good dunk to choose. And now that you have it as your number 2 dunk of the year, oh my goodness.
But I had to knock Baines down just because he used to be a Celtic, and it's funny that you guys got rid of him when you could totally use him probably. And
this might break the podcast.
De'Aaron did it over actual Pistons, so it's I had to knock that up just a few.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I appreciate how wrong you are. This leads me to think, though, that there's not going to be a disagreement as to our number 1 dunk of the year.
Oh, really?
Well, maybe. There seems like a clear one for me, but I will be the bigger man. I will let you go first. What is your number 1 dunk for the 2019-2020 season?
It is DeMar DeRozan, of course. Dunking the living goddamn daylight through 3 different Raptors in Toronto while he's wearing the Spurs black and whites. It is so cathartic. That's what it is. It's cathartic. I got
It's
closure from that dunk.
100% that dunk. Dunks the living crap out of Chris Boucher, takes him to the ground, stares him down, then gets a technical for leaving a dead body on the court. Oh my God, that dunk was absolutely vicious.
He almost made Raptors fans regret it. He almost made them think like, damn, we shouldn't have made the Kawhi trade. Look at what he just did to us. That's crazy.
Look at how he just ended an action, took the life of a player just right there.
Like mothers shielded their baby's eyes, you know, like they don't replay it in Canada. You can't access it on YouTube. They just don't have that game or the stats there anymore. And it is, you can still hear it. Like you can just, it vibrates out. And
the Spurs were down 59-76 when that dunk happened. And then they won 105-104.
It's just the coolest goddamn fucking thing that ever happened anywhere to anyone.
And
in love.
You know that DeMar was just like, God damn, he was waiting for an opportunity to just stick it. Absolutely stick it to the Raptors. And Chris Boucher was just the unfortunate person.
Right. Like Boucher didn't do anything. He
didn't do shit. He wasn't like, no. I mean, it's like, it's sad that you couldn't have had Kawhi there to like, God, can you imagine if he, I mean, we've agreed. This is the best dunk of the 2019-2020 season. It is one of the most disrespectful things that happened in the year. It is so much backstory of DeRozan getting shafted, getting kicked out of Toronto for obviously a trade that you make. Like if you have a chance to get Kawhi Leonard, you make that trade. Hands down.
Yeah, they won it all. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
100% you make that trade. But you can't, like, you can also appreciate the fact that DeRozan felt slighted. It's him taking, like you said, it's cathartic. It's him, like, taking all of that emotion and just letting it out in the court. However, had this dunk happen on Kawhi Leonard, it would have been the greatest dunk in the history of basketball. Am I wrong in saying that?
I think I probably would have, if that had happened, I probably would have teared up. Things would have gotten a little dusty, you know, like would have had to blink
Twitter
some
would
back.
Have melted. It would have ended. It would have been absolute chaos, like it was yesterday when all the blue check marks got shut down and unverified Twitter was taking over the world.
Yeah,
Twitter would have
like that's a scene that leads to like the cop like giving over their badge and gun. Like it's the end of like Point Break.
It's
like Adam Silver just would have saw that and shook his head and walked out of the office and never come back.
Basketball just ceases to exist. It's just that's it. Done. The sport's over. It's been great, but this is the pinnacle of all basketball. Oh my God.
It was. I can't fucking believe that happened this year.
I know, right? Oh God. So, anyways, definitely the best dunk of the year, hands down. There was big dap to you, socially distanced. I'm glad that we're, simpatico on that because that is just, it's such dynamite. It is absolute goddamn cold fire. Yeah, I poured over the tape to try to find because I wanted to see if I could find something better, if there was a hotter dunk, a take that I could make. But no, after watching multiple best 100 dunk clips, there was no dunk that I could comfortably put ahead of DeMar dunking over Chris Boucher.
You know what I felt bad about though? Obviously LeBron had a ton of dunks this year. I was like not impressed with any of them. No. And I felt so like Kings. Such a jerk. Cause like obviously they're awesome and he's the fucking best and who the hell am I? And every time I watched one of them, it was like, yep, and then he did that. So he's LeBron. So what? Who cares? Yeah.
He had one really nice one against the Kings, but I also, partially because, I hate the Lakers, but also I was just kind of like, it's the after effect. It's the fact that LeBron then just like struts after a dunk. And it's like, all right, well, that kind of diminished its impact, at least for me. Like somehow then it's not as powerful. Whereas it like, if you go from like the Kawhi dunk and then the DeMar DeRozan, he dunks the living shit out of him, tackles him to the ground, pushes him down to get up, stares at him, gets a technical, and still walks away and shoots the free throws. Like
He dunked it like it was Boucher's fault. Like, what the fuck? He's
Boucher
like, he
was
just
the one
got
who,
here.
made the trade.
Yeah, totally. Like, he paid off Masai Ujiri. Like, but I mean, LeBron, I have been super impressed with his passing this year.
Yes.
Like, he's made some incredible fucking assists. But it's just that, yeah, the dunks just don't seem like as passionate, strangely. Whereas DeMar, like that was like a nuclear explosion. That generations from now, people will remember it. Yeah, they'll speak about it in hushed tones.
Yes, 100%, 100%. All right, well, there you go. There is our top 5 dunks for 2019-2020 season.
Well done, sir. I love your list. You. Good job.
Yeah, your list was all right.
I appreciate that. I got at least 2 out of 5.
You got 3 out of 5. I'm going to get the Gary Harris dunk was absolutely destructive. Like that was
just,
and
delicious.
I feel like 3 is a good appropriate rating. I feel like his and Dame Lillard's dunk were on equal footing. Let us know what you think was the best dunk or your top 5 dunks for the 2019-2020 season. There's so many different clips that you can watch from. We want to hear what yours is. Make sure to tweet them at us at the Long 2 Podcast or drop them in the podcast comment section. So make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher. We are there. Leave a review. Drop your top 5 dunks there. You can find us at the Fake Teams Podcast channel. So search that and hit subscribe. Then you are all set. We will be back at you next week to keep talking basketball. Until then, Natty, stay safe.
You do the same. Just one last thing. Is it true that Kobe White has only dunked 4 times this season? And if it is true, why isn't that dude with that hair dunking every game?
Kobe White, step your shit up.
Absolutely. See you next week, buddy.